question. Are you ready to reach new limits? It's time to change your family tree and redefine industry. Enough with all the cliche cookie cutter recommendations about finance, business, and life. You found the podcast to give you the tips you need to create the unconventional lifestyle and outcomes you've always wanted. It's time to build your own systems and play your own game. You're tapped in with the one and only Dan Nicholson, and this is Rigging the Game Podcast.
Listeners, I am super excited to share with you that my book, Rigging the Game, How to Achieve Financial Certainty, Navigate Risk, and Make Money on Your Terms, is finally available. If you want more details, check it out at riggingamazon.com. Welcome to another episode of Rigging the Game. Today, I'm going to talk about Commandment number 1, closer versus more. Now, in a previous episode, I talked about the concept of certainty. What is certainty? And I talked about this orientation that we need to adopt. Least amount of effort, least amount of risk, most amount of options, and how that is contrary to what we've been conditioned to believe is true, that we must put in the most amount of effort, that we must take the most amount of risk, and the consequences that we have no options. And it establishes certainty is getting what you want on a timeline that's acceptable for you. And we need to define that. And we can use something like the certainty app that I created for you to be able to create a solvable problem. We need that solvable problem because the first commandment in our operating system in achieving certainty is what I call closer over more. Now, we've been conditioned more is the answer. And there's some real neuroscience around that. Now, I'm not an expert to speak on that, but you can listen to folks like Dr. Andrew Huberman, where he establishes that dopamine is the chemical of more. You can follow people like Dr. Jeff Spencer, who talk about the human mindset and the champion's mind, and how the human mindset has first say, and it's going to cause you to default to more, and the champion's mind is giving you an opportunity to do something different if you choose. And you can read other books like Thinking Fast and Slow from Daniel Kahneman, so on and so forth, around this problem of more. We just want more. We think that is the answer. Now, the problem is that more of what? What is it that we actually want? So to zoom out a moment, we tend to think of the only currency that matters is money. But there are other currencies that might be valuable to you. Time, for example. Influence or identity. Energy. Reputation. These are examples of other currencies. And at any given time, one of those currencies might be significantly more important than the others. And there might be what I would call relative priority, an order of these currencies. So maybe today, having free time is 10 times more important than having extra money. And that might be 10 times more important to you than having influence, right? And so that's a moving target. Again, we talk about these things as if they're an infinite game. The things that you want today are going to change, maybe tomorrow, maybe in the next 20 minutes. We need to accept that as true and not fight against it. And so when we think about more of what? So more clients might get me further away from what I want. So in this stage of my life, where I've got 2 young kids who still want to hang out with me, I'm more concerned about energy and time. But in particular, energy. I think if we learned anything from COVID, everyone said they wanted more time with their family, and then we got locked inside for a year or two, and we realized that maybe I don't need more time with my family. Maybe what I really wanted is to be more present when I'm around my kids, which is more of an energy concept. I need more energy. So it's important to understand this, what I actually want to get closer to, because if what I just said is true for you, you want more time and energy, and all of a sudden you get a opportunity that comes up, new client. So this is something that happens to me pretty regularly, or I'm asked to go speak at an event, or I'm asked to partner in a business that's going to require me to travel. And because what I know is my number one priority is more time with my kids, that when I ask myself, will this new business venture or will this speaking opportunity get me closer to what I want? It's much easier for me to just say no right away. No, because money is not my primary motivating factor right now. It's time and energy And so traveling all the time is going to get me further away. So I have this sort of mental flow chart in my head. And a first question is, and this flow chart is actually in my book, and you can learn more about it in our certification program, Certified Certainty Advisor. But it starts with, is a thing worth doing? Is a thing worth doing? And the first filter is, will it get me closer to what I want? And it turns out that for me, I can filter out 80 to 90, it might even be a little bit higher than that, percentage of the things that are coming my way just by running this filter and going, you know what? This is not going to get me closer, so no. And this is just a practice that I've adopted. And so I have not always been able to so quickly filter things out in minutes, because you can get tantalized by the opportunity, tantalized by how it might feel for your ego, and so on and so forth. And so in the past, I might have said yes to these opportunities, a new business venture, traveling, speaking, etc. And maybe I would go down that road for 3 months before realizing, hey, I'm not spending time with my kids. And then eventually it became 2 months, and then 1 month, and then 15 days, and then a day, and then maybe now it's 15 minutes. And so the objective, so it's not zero. I'm not perfect 100% of the time. And so this is not a system that goes from I'm constantly making decisions that get me further away to I no longer make decisions. That would be a very extreme, rigid structure that if you want to build a structure like that, you're kind of dooming yourself to fail from the beginning, expecting you're going to go from to a 100% success rate. But really, if I said to you today, hey, you used to get spun out for 3 months and now you only get spun out for a month, that's a massive, massive win. So we need to think in terms of relative change, right? It took me 3 months and now it takes me a month when applying closer versus more, because you're not going to be perfect with it. But if you can go from wrecking yourself to recovery much faster, that relative change creates a lot more resources that we can reallocate. So the game is recover, reallocate resources, because we want to put in the least amount of effort, least amount of risk, and have the most amount of options. So I'm going to talk about how this recover, and reallocate fits into our other commandments in a later episode. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I did. Now, if you're interested in learning more about my book, Rigging the Game, How to Achieve Financial Certainty, Navigate Risk, and Make Money on Your Terms, go to riggingamazon.com. If you're interested in joining our next cohort in the Certainty Certified Advisor program, go to certaintyu.com.